Cetacean Video has taped over 1,000 whale watch trips each year since 1988. This huge library of whale footage allows us to offer the world's best pre-recorded tapes on whale watching. They make a wonderful addition to your home video library and exceptional gifts for the whale and wildlife enthusiasts among your family and friends. Beyond Belief, the humpback whale, includes 50 minutes of unbelievable breaching, feeding, and close boat approaches. The antics and amazing behaviors of the humpback whale required producing this special video all their own. The Best of Provincetown Whale Watching was produced for the most devoted whale watcher and covers all the whales common to the Gulf of Maine. This 50-minute video introduces you to the North Atlantic right whale, the fin and minke whales, the Atlantic white-sided dolphin, and includes 20 minutes on the humpback whale, with footage different from that shown on Beyond Belief. Wonderful Whales is the newest addition to our video library. It is updated annually to show the most remarkable sightings from an entire whale watch season. Priced at $14.95, Volume 1 starts with the 1991 season. If you support the Whale Adoption Project, we can provide a video where your adopted whale was sighted and identified. We offer footage of approximately 100 humpback whales, including Salt, Patches, and Arrow, our favorite whale. See the back cover of our Rare Sightings catalog for prices and special savings on buying tapes. This catalog offers a fantastic collection of whale and dolphin gifts, from gold and silver jewelry to coffee mugs and t-shirts or sweatshirts, including an originally designed shirt that can be hand-painted with the tail pattern of an individual whale, perhaps your adopted whale. Books and gifts for children are also included. To order any item or to request a copy of the catalog, please call 1-800-942-5390. Thank you for your purchase. And now, please enjoy the sights and sounds of this extraordinary whale video.
Somebody said, I want to have two people. So then we went to the National Seashore headquarters and they called a ranger and a ranger came. When I got back here then, I talked to the person. Those two women were so deaf they couldn't be able to afford anything. So I feel as though it wasn't.
Never heard of it. No, we don't.
It's the only time I've lost it. Yes, no, I lost one and lost it.
Is this your last day, Irene? My last trip. No, the schedule's already up. And ready on the spring. What kind of a bird? Thanks. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome aboard the Dolphin 6. My name is Lisa Bariff, and I represent the Center for Coastal Studies here in Provincetown, and I'll be the naturalist on board for this afternoon's trip. In just a couple of minutes, we'll be having an introduction held up here on the upper deck, which includes a life jacket demonstration, as well as some other safety information we need to go over. But it also includes information on the whales we have a chance of seeing this afternoon, and the research we conduct concerning those whales while aboard the Dolphin Fleet Whale Watch boats. And that'll be in just a couple of minutes up here on the upper deck. And I'll show you the proper way to put a life jacket on, which is really easy. You put it on like you would any normal vest. Then tie secure knots in both the top and bottom straps. And then you take the middle strap and you clip it, and you're ready to jump overboard when the captain and crew give instructions to do so. Sure. And in the event of an emergency, the crew will hand out the life jackets, which are located beneath some of the benches in the back part of the upper deck, as well as up above benches inside the main cabin. Plus, there are life racks on board, and they're located above my head here on the that we're coming up to. And that's known as Long Point. And Long Point is at the very, very tip of Cape Cod. The Cape is oftentimes a very confusing place, whether in a boat or you're driving or you're whale trying to navigate through the waters near to shore. The shape of the Cape is oftentimes very confusing, shaped rather like a great arm, jutting out of the mainland of Massachusetts and curling around at the very end. Somewhere near where the palm of the hand would be is where Provincetown is, and then this bit coming around would be somewhat where the fingers would be, with Long Point at the very, very end of those fingers and the tip of Cape Cod. Well, the waters near to Cape Cod, whether here in Cape Cod Bay, where we are right now, or the offshore waters where we'll hopefully be heading during this afternoon's trip, are oftentimes very, very productive waters. And by that we mean that the waters here are teeming with life, beginning with the very smallest, nearly microscopic plants and animals called plankton, and they form the basis of the marine food web. Upon them, the fish feed, and upon the fish, other animals feed, including many of the whales that come into these waters. The productivity in these waters is what's attracted people here for hundreds of years, and it's certainly what's been attracting whales to these waters for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And the whales come here to feed. But unfortunately, the food isn't evenly distributed and the availability fluctuates a lot. So the whales aren't evenly distributed, and we never can predict exactly where they're going to be at any given time and how many will be there from season to season and even nearly from day to day. Things change out here a lot, and that's actually one of the exciting parts of going out whale watching, is that it's very unpredictable. And so we don't know exactly what we'll be seeing on this trip. But as the whale watch season is winding down and the weather is finally calming down and becoming beautiful again, we've had a lot of real nice whale sightings, and we hope the same will be in store for us this afternoon. So in hopes of seeing whales, I'd like to just give you some background information on what they are. And as many of you might know, they're mammals. And being mammals, they share a lot of characteristics with all other mammals, and that includes all of us, with one of these characteristics being air-breathing animals. And they do breathe air with lungs, and they have to come to the surface in order to breathe, which is a really fortunate characteristic, because we're basically stuck on the surface waiting to get glimpses of these animals. And they spend nearly 80% of their lives beneath the water's surface, where they're basically invisible to us. So we're really dependent upon that time they're at the surface breathing in order to see them and to study them. Also, as with all other mammals, whales are warm-blooded, and they bear their young live and nurse their young with milk from mammary glands. And we put them into a category that we call a scientific order. And the name of that order for whales is Cetacea, with the word cetacea coming from the Greek word ketos, which actually means sea monster. Now within that large order, Cetacea, there's another division, and we call these the suborders. And the suborders are divided at least partly by what the whales have in their mouths, with one of the suborders including all of the whales that have teeth, and we call them the toothed whales or the odontocetes, which means literally toothed whales. And that includes most of the whales in the world. There are about 76 or so different types or species of whales in the world. About 65 of them are toothed whales. And that includes also many of the smaller whales in the world, like the dolphins and the porpoises, killer whales, pilot whales, and the only large toothed whale, which is a sperm whale. And we are fortunate enough to occasionally see toothed whales in these waters, with the one we most commonly see here being one called the Atlantic white-sided dolphin. And it's also the one that's depicted on the blue sheets you're handed when you got on board the boat. And these are the larger whales in the world for the most part, and they don't have any teeth at all. They're known as the baleen whales or the mysticetes, with mysticete meaning literally mustached whale. Though it doesn't mean the whales have mustaches, they actually were named for what's inside their mouths rather than what's on their lips. And that's also called the baleen. Again, these whales don't have any teeth at all, and this is what's in place of teeth. And I do happen to have a sample of baleen here, though it's a rather pathetic sample. And the only way we can get baleen is if a whale happens to die, and we can then remove it from the whale's mouth, which is our excuse for it looking as it does here. And this particular bit of baleen came from a humpback whale that died back in 1987. We had named her Point, and we had seen her every year from 1979 until her death in December of 1987 when she washed up on a beach in Truro. She died as part of a very strange event we had here. It was a mass mortality of humpback whales where at least 15 individuals died between the end of November of 1987 and mid-January of 1988. They apparently, though it's not known conclusively, died after eating large quantities of mackerel that had in their livers a toxin called saxitoxin. It's a neurotoxin. It affects the central nervous system, and it's the same toxin that's involved in red tide or paralytic shellfish poisoning here in the Northeast, and that's apparently what killed these 15 or more humpbacks. Anyway, Point was one of them, and she was a mature humpback whale, so this baleen's about as long as it gets in a humpback's mouth. Now, I only have 2 plates of baleen here. In a humpback's mouth, there are anywhere between 400 and 600 individual plates of baleen. They hang from the upper jaw only, and they're lined up much like teeth in a comb, side by side, going around that upper jaw, with the top part here embedded in the gums, and the part that's facing you now facing the outside of the mouth, and the part that's facing you now that looks very slightly fringed facing the inside of the mouth. And if this were a fresh bit of baleen, those fringes would actually appear as long hairs. And with several hundred plates going around the upper jaw, those hairs form a really dense hairy mat on the inside of the mouth, which allows these whales to use their baleen as a filter. That's how they catch their food, basically by taking mouthfuls of food and water, and as they're closing their mouths, they'll push the water out through the back of the baleen plates. The water can pass between the hairs and plates, but the food can't. It gets trapped against those hairs, much like something would get caught against a screen or in a colander, and that's how they catch their food. Baleen was commercially valuable, and it was used for things that plastics are now used for, like in combs and brushes. It's also used in buggy whips and springs and corset stays. And it was known by the name of whalebone at that time, which is a bit misleading because it's not made out of bone. It's actually made out of the same protein that our hair and fingernails are made up of. It's a protein called keratin. And I'll leave the baleen by the wheelhouse throughout the trip, so feel free to come on up and take a look at it. But keep in mind that it's rather worn out, and it's all curled up and hardened as an artifact of drying, but feel free to look at it anyway. Left-hand side of the boat is the white soda, which is the Point. And Grace Point is the northernmost point of Cape Cod, and so as we go beyond it, we'll be going beyond the Cape and outside of Cape Cod Bay. And also as we go beyond it, we'll be getting closer to a whale. And there is a whale on the head that we're headed toward, and if you keep looking up at about 12 o'clock, about 12 o'clock or so, straight ahead, you can see the whale's spout. Up ahead of us at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. There it is, right ahead of us. It's a finback whale.
3, 2, 0.
And this is a finback whale, and it should be coming up at least one more time. Yeah, it's coming up now. at about 1 o'clock.
Can I check the last
Now it may have just gone down in a dive. When finbacks dive, it sometimes seems rather subtle. They just show a little bit more of their bodies as they arch their backs and then go down. Now, finback whales are the largest whales that we generally see in these waters. They're the second largest whale in the world. They are baleen whales, and they can grow to really quite impressive lengths, close to 70 to 75 feet in length. Though most of the finbacks we see here are, though of impressive size, a little bit smaller than that, maybe closer to 60 feet or so. As Steve has turned the boat, the whale is at about 1 o'clock, and it's turned a little bit. You can see a series of slick areas, those are called the whale's footprints or fluke prints. And it shows you where the whale just was, and there it is up on the surface again. And it's made somewhat of a half circle as it's been turning. And now we're looking at the left side of the whale again. This whale is continuing to turn, also very, very slowly, but in a rather nearly circular shape. You can see the series of footprints it's leaving behind. Yeah, they have gone down on a dive again. The last footprint is just starting to dissipate here on the surface. Oh no, it's up over here. It's turned around. Wow. It may be feeding. It's up at about, you said about 1 o'clock.
So much for that, Steve. Wow. Yeah, look at that.
This whale is continuing to circle again, so the last kick that looked like a very strong kick, then when it changed direction, so it's circling one more time. It may well be feeding here. When it came up, and rather the surface, it sort of surprised me as I was saying it had gone down, and it came up. You see an awful lot of green, and it may well be that its throat was distended. These are the plastics still up there on the surface. It's a baleen whale, and it's also what we call a rorqual. And all rorquals have throat grooves that run from their chins down to their belly button, essentially, that enable them to take in very, very large quantities of food and water. They can distend their throats. And the underside of a finback is white in coloration, and that may be some of the green that we were seeing. The other green we were seeing as it was surfacing was the white lower jaw. The whale's continuing to circle around here. or even in the North Atlantic Ocean. And there are still portions of the North Atlantic Ocean where finback whales are hunted. And one of those places is off the west coast of Greenland. There's still what's known as a subsistence fishery for finbacks there with an allowable take of 21 individuals a year. And the Center for Coastal Studies has been involved in research with the Greenland Fisheries Research Institute off the west coast of Greenland for several years now. And last September, two researchers from the center, Irene Syke and David Matilla, went up there with Pierre Pillsbury from Greenland Fisheries in an attempt to photo-identify finback whales there in hopes of getting a better handle on what the population off the west coast of Greenland really is like, and discovered the whale is still there, even though it arched its back somewhat and showed us that part of its tail stalk. Maybe turning again. A beautiful look at this finback.
Wow. What a beauty.
Yeah, it's still there. We're here at about 10 o'clock coming toward us. You can really see that white, bright lower jaw, as well as that blazing chevron around it. At about 4 o'clock or so, we're going to just swing by to get another look at this finback whale before we continue on with our whale watch and see what else we get to see. At about 11 o'clock. We also had another one underneath the birds up ahead at about 12 o'clock, both of which are humpback whales. Again, it was another individual humpback whale.
Yeah, there he is.
About one. And you can see this one on the surface a little better now, just ahead of us. They look like mirrors, dorsal. These whales, they did go down a real deep dive apparently. Humpbacks do tend to lift their tails when they go down on deeper dives, and that gives us a chance to figure out who they are. Because on the underside of the tail is a pattern that's individually distinctive, ranging from all white to all black with incredible variation in between. So hopefully next time that whale surfaces, you can get a chance to see who it is. The other one is still on the surface. About 12,
oh, there's a fluke!
And that was half of its tail looked like it was turning and brought half of its tail out of the water.
I'm sorry. But that would be really cool. I would like it if that was me, or if all the whales we hadn't yet seen this year showed up this week, I'd be so happy. Okay, who are you? Oh, look at the teeth. So where's her kids?
1 o'clock is her second calf, born during this previous winter down in the West Indies. As well, one of them is being fairly active, splashing a lot. And then we've got at least 3 fairly close to us.
And lots of persons. I know they're like, I can't believe this is the last business. But I guess it's better to end the season on a good note. To let it just sort of fizzle out. Oh, the whales. Right into the sun again, I heard it.
One of the whales, probably the single whale, came up. I hadn't yet seen it. I heard it somewhere. This humpback is up at about 10 o'clock or so.
I don't know if it's going to drill. Oh, maybe. Cascade.
That's actually not who I initially thought it was, but that is the name of the company. It should be right on the surface at about 12 o'clock. It should have Petite in her calf.
Oh, I see. I could right there. Yeah, better block.
No, it's got another one.
Are you sure?
Yeah, see the scar?
Yeah, but her calf has a scar. That's her calf.
Here she is.
Get a good shot, right?
That's Petite in her calf.
Oh, I see them, but you never.
See both the mother and the calf here side by side at 1 o'clock. Mom's closer to us, just beneath the water now. You can see some green in the water, which are her flippers, which are actually white, but they look green. And her calf is lying on the surface. There's Petite.
Get it?
And rather large dorsal fin.
Get ready. Gonna go to where it's at some point.
This is her calf that's lying on the surface now, and if you look forward to the dorsal fin, we notice there's quite a scar on this calf's back. It's healed a lot during the course of the summer. We first saw Petite with her calf back in, and I think it was in May, earlier this spring, and that already had what looked like a semi-healed scar on its back, most likely caused by a boat. We don't know where this little whale was hit. It certainly is surviving just fine. It's amazing what these animals can withstand. We've seen some very, very ugly propeller wounds on these whales, and they're able to survive these injuries. And you can see the catfish is logging here on the surface. Quite large now. They grow a phenomenal amount during the first year of life, beginning as newborns about 9 feet long, and by the end of the first year they may be over 25 feet in length. And they stay with their mothers for the first year of their life. This calf may soon be separating from Petite. We don't know exactly when that separation occurs, though usually by the following summer they are separated. And here's Petite.
You ready for that, huh? Did you? Oh, you're gonna get fired.
That white stuff. Look at her blonde hair.
Yeah. Beauty, but it sure has healed. I was just this last couple of days. Yeah, I think it must have been a boat. It looked more like a gouge early in the season. Up in the season.
Yeah, there's Boutique again. She's only 8 years old. She may not be fully grown. She may grow in a year or two. But she became physically mature. Back in 1986, she became pregnant. So she was, no, 1980. No, I'm sorry. She had her first calf in 1989. So 1988, she became pregnant at the age of 5. And returned to this area with her first calf back in 1989. And this is her second. Calf side by side. You can see the way the sun is hitting the calf. You can see that scar, and that'll be something that'll enable us to recognize that whale for years to come. It's a very unfortunate way to be able to recognize them. The other things that we'll use again on the underside of the tail and that dorsal fin. We have a very high return rate to this area, and so we hope next year when this little calf is independent of its mother, it will still continue to come back here.